Alrighty. Find a seat. Can everyone just appreciate how cool Chris's laptop is at the back with the little LED on his laptop cover? I think we all need laptops like that, don't we, Chris? All right, we are live. So thanks everyone for joining us. And if you do have any mates that are stuck outside, the doors to go up to level 4, they close off at 7 o'clock. So people can still come up, but just keep an eye on the Discord. This is live on YouTube as well. If you got it on the meetup, there is a there's a YouTube link there. I do pretty horribly at introducing myself, I've been told, because I just get straight into it because there's just so much to do and people know how manic I am. But my name is Mark. I go by Captain DeFi on Twitter. My background is as a data scientist. I work with Nick right up the back. Put your hand up, Nick. You. And Chris from Digital Village does amazing film work for us, and I'm a student of his game, but I sometimes don't do it so well. So if you look at the podcast and go, the color grading's a little bit different sometimes, yeah, that's me. I'm learning. Anyway, before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and future. Today, we've got an interesting event with a couple of very cool updates from people. Oh, I think the YouTube was playing there as well because I was testing it before and I'm just getting background, which is just me 20 seconds ago. So usually with these, we would have some slides that I would shout out to Nick to click on, but I've got a new app that actually just does it from here. So if anyone else does events, hit Chris and I up because we can help out with that. There's a QR code. This basically gives you all the different links to the meetups, the YouTube, the newsletters, all the socials, etc. And we'll throw it on again at the end. So here's what we're going to go through today. So FrankieOne, Stables, Block Earner. We've got some community updates as well from some folks in the audience here, and very open to audience questions as well. So without further ado, let's get into the updates from around Oz DeFi, around Australia for the month. First of all, we had a rare occasion where some of us were dressed up in suits. You will likely not see that again until awards ceremonies. This was a gala event run by Steve Vallis over at Blockchain APAC. He's really good at cryptic messages. So putting this out a few months ago, people were wondering what it was. And it was a big kind of 3-day event with 200 people that flew in from around the nation and internationally as well to come talk crypto and how we move the space forward. So that was amazing. And then you can see, we got dressed up for the final night. The previous event that we had was on the 25th of July. We run these at the end of each month. Typically, it's the last Wednesday of each month, but we don't always get that slot. So this one, it's the third Wednesday, and I think there's another event going on down the road at Blockchain Sydney. There's also an AI event. There's just a lot of events. Luckily, where I work at Not Centralized, we get to see both. And so on the podcast, which you'll see later, we actually do both blockchain as part of emerging technology and AI. Our last event, we had great speakers coming in from New Zealand, from around the globe. The US was here in the crowd and stuff. And we had a panel of lawyers, Lisa from Digital X, and we had Chen Yi from Chainalysis that was there as well. And we had Steve and Rochelle from Blockchain APAC giving us an update about what their conference was about. Next one, we also went to Perth. Well, I went to Perth, luckily. Nick and Arturo were busy, my colleagues. Arturo sends his apologies. He's usually here. But because he's not here, it probably means we're going to run on time. So this is a good thing. I was over in Perth with Kat Dunn and the folks at Bamboo. We're going to start doing monthly events over in Perth. So Sydney, just for... hands up, folks here, if this is your first time to one of our events. There's a few, okay, wow, more than I thought. Well done. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we don't bore you too much and stuff, and we'll get to the cool networking and the cool interviews soon. But the way that we started in Sydney was a little WhatsApp group, just amongst friends. And it was 5 people, then 10. And each day there'd be 100 messages of what's going on in the crypto space. And then we decided to actually pull it together and form a bigger crew, a Discord where we could message and actually keep up with what's going on. And then it turned into people asking us to do meetups, and we had no venue. We had no clue. I'm not an events person. I run a data science community, but I had people running that. I wasn't the one doing it from scratch. So it was a really amazing experience and journey, being able to gather people like you guys together to be able to get support from sponsors, because initially this was out of pocket for Nick, Arturo, and I, to do these kinds of things. And we've got the amazing support from the place that we're in now, which is Stone and Chalk. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's great to see the growth. And I mention it because Perth, this was an event where we had 40 people. It was first 5. Hey, Phil. It was first 5, then 10, then 20, 40 was this one. They've got another event on next month. And I feel like if they continue, it'll be just like what we've got in Sydney. Also, whilst I was in Melbourne last week, there was a hackathon. I don't know if I skipped a slide there. Yeah, we go. Okay, cool. Last week, we had another Oz DeFi event in Melbourne. We've been doing them there every second month or so. We're hoping to get back to monthly. Hands up here if you guys know who Anthony Sassano is. Yep, there's a few of you. You might listen to the Daily Gwei. He's probably one of Australia's most popular crypto commentators, very knowledgeable, and he was able to join us from coming to the Digital Asset Conference where we got to meet him. And he saw our event and said that he would come down for that. So we held that at Greythorn. We had a few others there like Cointree, and Anthony Sassano was there. Stables joined us as well in the community. So that was great to have a res there to give an update. And he gave basically his shows every day, every weekday. He does these 30-minute updates overnight, Australian time, on what is going on in the Ethereum blockchain crypto space. Talking about friend tech, for example, which is the hottest commodity, and you can be on either side of that. But what was really great was he spoke for half an hour and he stayed until 10:30. We finished at 8:30, but the community was just continuously just sitting around talking, sharing ideas. For someone like that to be part of our community, it really helps us push forward. We're, much more connected than you would think. If you guys know Bankless, that is another great podcast that is out there. He's a part-time host on that. At least he seems part-time, because when the guys are traveling and stuff, he fills in for that. So it's great to have someone like him there, and hopefully we'll do more soon. There was also this Web3 and AI hackathon. And that was held by CloudTech and JRE Academy and a few others, and $50,000 worth of prizes. So if you're a builder in this space, there's quite a few hackathons that are going on across AI and blockchain. So that was really interesting to see. The winning group was doing some sort of AI chess thing. I was like, well, I thought AI had already solved chess, but there's much more to it than that. So it was really great to see them. I was lucky enough to be a judge there. Let's go next. Speaking of podcasts, initially we were just doing blockchain only, and whilst I know it's not been as popular, this is actually a good thing that the market has lost its hype. Yes, there's more seats, so please come in if you can. The market has lost its hype, but that's a good thing, because those folks that are building real world utility, that are making it easier to do transfers, that are building with the proper ethos of blockchain, which was lower barriers of entry, automation, and all that good stuff, we're able to do it without the hype, although arguably Friend Tech puts a spanner in the works there. But we've revamped the podcast because we saw a lot more of our community, including ourselves, because apart from running community events and raising capital for startups, which is what we do at Not Centralized, we also build in this space. So we know what it's like to be, early stage in terms of getting an idea off the ground and trying to raise money for it. So we're here to communicate and collaborate and to help anyone out that's out there. If anyone reaches out, whilst it might take a day or two for me to get back to you because there's so much going on and 24 hours isn't enough, we do want to help you. And we've got a community on Discord to do that. So the Revamp podcast means that we talk about AI, we talk about blockchain, and we talk with builders that may not necessarily start off in AI and blockchain, but they need to use our tools. These are people that are trying to solve real world problems. It's revamped in the sense that now I actually take the time to put on proper place cards and thumbnails, whereas before I was just lazy and, it seemed a little bit haphazard. But we're trying to really make an effort here. And if people are interested in being part of one of the different series that we've got on the podcast, that is open. And I was going to say that is open because someone was at the door, but that's okay. So the next one, upcoming events. So there's a bit of global stuff going on, as well as global things that are coming to our doorstep. So we welcome our friends from New South Wales government. There's a few of you guys here. we do want to know, hands up here who has or is going to participate or has heard about South by Southwest coming to Sydney. There's a few of you. So they made a bit of a fanfare about it a few months ago, or maybe a year ago, and maybe it hasn't been as much recently, but this is the first time they're doing it out of Austin. So normally you'd see South by Southwest in Texas. That's a great growing kind of community there, but this is the first time they're doing it outside. So it's amazing to have that. And for the first time, it's coming to Sydney. So there's a lot of different groups from around Australia coming to get involved. So you can see that on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, one of the premier events of blockchain going on in Asia Pac is called Token 2049 in Singapore. Has anyone heard about that, first of all? Hands up if you're going. Okay, fantastic. Now, if you are going, there is a Telegram group. It started off with about 9 delegates, and we started our own little WhatsApp group. But because we're so open and collaborative, they already had messages going on in there. So we threw everyone across to their Telegram, and everyone in crypto is mostly on Telegram. There's now about 36 people in there. It's probably 40 by the time I look again. So whoever put their hand up, if you're interested in getting connected to the Australian delegation that's heading over, so that, in case we head down a wrong street and get stuck in Singapore somewhere where we're not supposed to, you've got friends, not just yourself. Although you might be a lone wolf and want to travel that way, that's totally okay. But hit me up later if you want to be part of that Telegram group. There's definitely other events as well. There's Intersect going on in Melbourne, which is more fintech, but blockchain plays a part of it. Some of our friends, like the folks at Canvas, they're going down there. I think there might be some awards related things. But anyway, fintech, blockchain, AI, it all relates. So if you're interested in events, on that QR code, there is a Web3 calendar, which keeps up to date mostly. It's a bit of a crowdsourced thing about what's going on around Australia. So we try to do that. And we have a team of people that are all just volunteering from different groups that are updating that event page. Last night, so I want to talk about startups just a little bit, because we don't do this to just sit in the vacuum. Blockchain for the sake of blockchain. We do this because we want to build solutions that are changing the lives of people out there, that are making it easier to do things, to transfer currency. The reason we want that transfer is because we want to make it easier for us to send money around the world, right? And we want to make it easier for us to track supply chains. We want to do things that help businesses operate and transact. And so what was really interesting was that there's this group called the Startup Network. They're now Australia-wide. They started out of Victoria. It was called Startup Victoria to begin with. They had a pitch night last night, and they had some amazing folks that are all solving real-world problems, from someone trying to be like the Canva for baby photos, for parents taking photos of their kids, because you take photos on your phone and you might lose where that's at. Well, Canva started out as yearbooks. These guys are trying to solve for that as well, for parents with baby photos and kids' photos. There was another group solving for the problems that you have when you're the one that's left behind, or your family's left behind, and someone dies in the family. Now, I've faced that more recently, and it's not an easy kind of thing. So it's great to see technology out there solving this. These are founders that don't go out just looking for the tech. They're solving a certain problem, and the tech comes along. And if you start to understand, even if you're new, or even if you're a bit more experienced in blockchain, you start to see where it works and where it doesn't. Same thing with AI technology as well. So it's amazing to see that there are folks, especially in this room, that are doing a little bit of both. Okay, so next slide, a few more. So hands up here who knew that the RBA was doing a test of a CBDC. Yep, there's a few of you out there. I know it's controversial, but at least here in Australia, they are testing it. They're not rolling it out. They're testing it first to see how the technology works. And they're going to do consultations like they do with everything. And a lot of the things that are told about in terms of what the CBDC is, they're fear-mongering. It's like, obviously there are things to be concerned about if they don't have privacy limits in there. Obviously there are things to be concerned about if they treat it the way that they do in other nations, which are less, I would say, democratic. So it's good that at least the government here tries to come together and collaborate with the banks, the startups. We were one of the startups that wanted to get involved and see what is going on there. Our use case was, our use case doesn't need a CBDC, right? Our use case happily works on a stablecoin. What we're trying to solve is, imagine that on one side you've got someone, a subcontractor, and every 2 weeks or so it seems like there is a builder that is failing in our community, right? A builder falling down and collapsing, and you see them in the news. So imagine a subcontractor. Currently they work for 30 days, they invoice, they wait another 30 to 60 days to get paid. They might not know the other side doesn't even have the funds. With blockchain, just with lines of code, you can have escrow accounts where you can put up collateral and you can see that the other side actually has the money to pay you. So you can do your work with the confidence that you are going to get paid. You have that guarantee there. So that works with blockchain and stablecoins because we have programmability. We were using that as part of our use case where the CBDC was basically a proof of reserve. So to prove that that fund, that $1 Aussie is worth $1 Aussie because it's proved, it's backed by the Reserve Bank of Australia. That's one use case of a CBDC. There were others as well. So I definitely, even if you're a skeptic, read the report, see what they were doing. You might still agree that they don't need a CBDC, and that's fine. We're here to come together to test technology away from all the politics and divisiveness that the headlines show, because there's much more to it. Can you imagine if the internet was just spoken about as that's just porn, that's just piracy, that's just, sending crypto. There is more to the internet, and it's been a game-changing kind of thing. I can't imagine what life would be like without that. Same thing with ChatGPT, for example. Like, life before ChatGPT is very different. It's much more efficient and stuff now. The next one, and I think we're nearly there before we get to interviews. One more thing is the Export Council of Australia has been running a 3-day series of events. I was at the first one today, where they brought in startups and builders from Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, all over, PNG was there as well. These are all businesses that were brought together with a couple of vendors that are doing stuff in AI and blockchain. So I represented a bit of blockchain and AI. There was another AI builder there. And we just spoke about our experiences building here in Australia. And Export Council is trying to help startups get their stuff seen by these businesses overseas and vice versa, so that we can actually help out in terms of what we can do with technology, not just here in Australia, but trying to promote what Australia is doing to the world. So now that we've had this in with these guys, if anyone here is building some interesting things that we can help showcase, especially around APAC, now we have more reach to do that. DeFi, we're very well connected into the corporate space, into government and regulators at a state and federal level. And we do that by getting involved in these projects, getting involved in consultation papers. Anyone here in this room can contribute. There is no membership fee here because we just want people to contribute, to learn, to collaborate. And that is a job in and of itself, and that is reward in and of itself. So now we get to the fun part, the interviews. So I'll get my first interviews up on stage. So we've got Block Earner up first. Is it Charlie and James coming up? Welcome, Charlie and James. And I believe James is wearing the same jumper as in that. He got the memo, so that's good. It was. If you do you want to test your microphone? Let's just make sure that's. Is it on at the bottom? Yeah, no, it's yeah.
Testing. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so now's the part where I get to mark questions. So if you want to have a seat. Oh, you want to stand? Okay, yeah, no, yep, true.
Got a guy, Mark. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll start off with Charlie because you're the founder of this, co-founder. I want to understand how it's been a crazy market over the last couple of months. I'm sure many of you would agree, but can you tell us how you digested and distilled the market and the events of the last, let's say, 18 months, and what your strategy is for navigating that? Because it's been a bit of a crazy experience, especially you guys being at the forefront of that. Please.
Thank you. Maybe I give a little bit background about myself. My name is Charlie. I've been in blockchain space since 2017. Started my blockchain experience in synthetics. Maybe you guys know one of the DeFi blue chips. Prior to that, I was in telco industry. 2017 was a very interesting time for me because it was another bull market, ICO craze, as you guys know. My background is engineering, so it was very interesting for me to learn about Ethereum and Bitcoin ecosystem. And I quickly realized that this will be the future of basically finance or value transfer. It was very interesting times indeed. 2019, after Synthetics, I was head of product there. 2019, I launched RelayPay. RelayPay is a payment processor for merchants or individuals to make payments with cryptocurrency. That business is currently ongoing. In 2021, we launched Block Earner after we saw the DeFi summer and basically the maturity in the DeFi market, and launched Block Earner. Block Earner is more like a wealth management company. We launched our products in March 2022. Back to your question, then nuclear bomb happened. As you guys know, first started with Lunaterra crash, then Celsius, then Triaro Capital, then FTX. Like, it was really, really difficult market. In 18 months, we have basically got all the news, obviously, all the. I mean, we are in this space, reading news and reading people's mind. We changed our strategy starting from last November, I would say, even a little bit earlier. We initially started like a yield platform, so we were giving direct access to DeFi platforms like Compound and Aave. And now we broaden our scope and now currently building a next generation fintech, we call it. On the background, we have the blockchain technology. We don't see a binary feature like TradFi versus DeFi. It's more like blockchain powers up some of the financial products in our view. 18 months events taught us obviously a few lessons. One, trust and security is really, really important, number one. Second, licenses moving forward will be very important. And actually, it's actually great for our ecosystem as well, because it will help us to integrate with the broader finance ecosystem. And third one is the utility, because these hype cycles goes crazy and then comes down crazy because of lack of utility. So today we will basically announce a product which basically gives the utility back to the crypto ecosystem. Over to you, James.
And I told you guys I'm really bad at intros, even for others. So I'm sorry I didn't even. Charlie, just tell us straight about. Anyway, I'll do it better now. James, who are you?
Hi. Yeah, nice to see so many new faces in the room. I've been at these events for a few years now, and it always surprises me how many new faces come along. So great work, Mark, and great work, everybody, for coming out on a rainy night.
Can we get a round of applause for the new people here? Like, there's 40% of you, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
James, yeah.
Mate, look, tonight's a big night for Block Earner. As Charlie alluded to, we've got some big news, and very excited to say that this is the first room of people that will ever see this product, and you only get to do that once, right? So what a privilege, right? I've a couple of questions before we dive into the product.
Sure.
First one is like, who owns any Bitcoin in the room? Just show me a hand. Okay.
At one Bitcoin? Anyone? No.
Just any. Let's start with any. Okay. How about Ethereum? Any ETH maxes? Okay. All right. So if you're any like me, if you're at all similar to me, you're not selling at these prices, right? Like, Bitcoin's on sale at the moment. So do you want to jump to the next slide?
Sure. Let me do that on the phone because I'm amazing. There we go.
So this is our answer to the current market, the future market, and everything in between. So this is a massive moment for us. We've been working on this product for, as Charlie said, over 12 months. And crypto-backed loans is something that's existed overseas, but solving that AUD hurdle is a massive process. Starting out with just getting licensed is a huge lift, as I'm sure there's a few nodding heads in the room. Getting a credit license as a crypto brand is not a walk in the park, and it's also not much fun. So take that from us. But secondly, the that last leg of, as everybody in the room is probably aware, you can borrow stable coins against your crypto through DeFi or other players who probably best remain unnamed overseas have done a similar product. But our product works AUD directly into your bank account. So you bring your crypto along, it's an opportunity for you to release some value out of your crypto and take it straight to your bank account. So jump to the next slide for us.
Okay, hang on a second. There we go.
Okay. So the iPad is sort of only half come to work today.
It's a new type of iPad.
Yeah, so look, this is a little bit more of a dive into how the product works. So it's a slight deviation from a DeFi loan is you've always got to be watching it, right? Like, I'm sure there's a few, well, who in the room here has been liquidated before? Yeah, right? Like, that hurts, right? It even hurts to admit. I'm sure there's a few people in the room that have been liquidated that didn't put their hand up, right?
That's when you lose everything for yeah.
So like that's another pain point for crypto-backed loans that we're solving for, right? So by taking it into, like Charlie said, into this hybrid approach, which is mixing TradFi and blockchain finance, we can send you push notifications, we can send you emails, we can send you weekly summaries of how your loan is looking, and make sure you're up to scratch on the health of your loan, right? We can really make the chance of a liquidation event, or what we like to call an automatic repayment event, much, much less likely. So just a couple of mechanics. You can manage it anywhere. So it's an app-enabled product, so you can use your iPhone, iPad, or on your desktop. So imagine this: you've got 10K Bitcoin on Block Earner, and or elsewhere. You transfer it in, and then you can pull out up to 33% of that in cash directly to your bank account, wherever you are. The balance appears in your bank account within 24 hours. We've got the live LVR and everything that I mentioned before, and we've got a dashboard which has got your full history wherever you are. So it's enough of the sales side. Now, what is in it for you guys? Because it's our first time demoing this, we'd love to hear any feedback, any thoughts, questions that you've got about it. But if you want to jump to the next one.
Sure.
We've also got an offer. So please pop out your phones and join our wait list. So this wait list will fill up, and this offer is only available to the first X amount of users.
If the QR code doesn't work and you can't see it, it's tinyurl.com/BE loans. B loans.
Yeah, block owner, right?
Oh, there you go. My brain's not working.
Yeah, so jump onto the wait list, please. Give us an idea of what sort of loan you want to take out, and here's your chance to sign up. And by doing so, you get your first month interest free. So there's no cost in that first month for you. And very excitingly, over here we've got a picture of the Squires Landing, and we're giving away a few tickets to our big launch party, which is in a couple of weeks. So we'll take some names off the wait list and give you guys a chance at a free night on us at the Squires Landing to rub shoulders with some crypto heavyweights of Australia.
I thought you were giving away Squires Landing. I'm like, that's impressive.
Maybe like next bull run, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let us know. No, that's a great view. I've been to events there, folks. It's such a great venue. There's also Crypto Lulu across the road in that area of Circular Quay. Amazing stuff. So I didn't even know with this announcement that there was going to be an event like that. Around what week is that going to be?
Yeah, so first week of September.
Okay.
So 7th, yeah, right? That's still the first week.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so 7th of September is the event. Make sure you're available. Please, grab your phone, join the wait list, give yourself a chance at coming along, and also give yourself a chance at like giving us some feedback and talk to us about what you'd like to see from future iterations.
James forgot the waitlist offer actually. We have 30 days interest-free period for the waitlist product. Did you say that? Okay.
It's on the record too, but that's okay.
Okay,
that's
we
fine.
can check the records.
James has his probate. No, just joking. No, guys, this is amazing. This product seems pretty awesome, obviously. So, hey, first of all, now Stone and Chalk have a bell. I should have brought the bell over that you ring when there's a new major announcement and stuff. So I apologize. Ding, ding. Can we give them a round of applause for this amazing new product? Well done. Now we're going to try to go to question time towards the end. We're going to have a few other speakers, then we'll bring everyone back up on stage. So save your questions, but I've just got a few that I want to go through just now. It seems pretty awesome, this product, obviously. Who do you think it best suits? Who are you guys targeting with this?
Yeah. Well, one of the best things about building this product and being part of it is like, I really want this, right? Like, I've been begging for products like this.
So you built it for yourself.
So essentially, I'm the target market, right?
Not
no,
bad.
no, I'm joking. It's every like Bitcoin and Ethereum holder, right? Like, typically there's financial instruments reserved for only like the super rich. So think of like shares. Elon bought Twitter. He released equity out of his Tesla shares, right? So it's similar for that, right? You're just releasing equity out of your investment, and it allows you to use that money in everyday life. So our target market's broad, but we're targeting crypto holders with a long-term view, right? Like if you think your crypto is going to appreciate, and you, like as most people in the room probably do, and you want to use some of that money today, it might enable some investment. It also might help people patch up an unexpected expense. So one of the more interesting things we did was we surveyed before we got anywhere near releasing this. We wanted to make sure that people other than me actually want it, right? So we did a huge survey, commissioned this 1,000-person survey, and we got back like 61% of people want to open a loan, right? That was awesome to hear. But then we asked them like, why would you want to open the loan? And we got back some really interesting responses. So things like buying a car, like refinancing my credit card. Like as we know, credit card rates are really high. And I didn't put it up here, but we're launching with 4.95% on Ethereum loans and 6.95% on Bitcoin loans. And so if you've got a 12% credit card, you just borrow some money against your Bitcoin and off you go. You're saving money from day one. So there's lots of different ways to use it.
I love that this is giving more options to folks that, you might... Before you guys did this, I mean, there's very limited ways that you could do stuff. You had to transfer, you had to trade your way out of it, and that's not necessarily easy. So how long have you guys been thinking about this? Like, how long is this idea to build this product for yourselves? No, I'm just joking. But like, to build this product for these options, how long has that been brewing?
It's actually early times, like around March, April, I would say. As soon as we had that DeFi access product, next product was crypto loans in our mind. But it takes quite a long time to go through all this licensing process and everything. And I believe this is a quite good opportunity for people finally get some equity release from their crypto security assets. And a lot of now we have the opposite arbitrage opportunity. So initially, like 2 years ago, when we first launched the yield product, the DeFi yield was around like 7-8% on our compound, as you guys remember. But the traditional finance rates were below 1%. So that was an opportunity for us to basically get the DeFi access product, and give access to Australians. Now this is an opportunity to basically refinance your TradFi loans on DeFi. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think it's really important, just again, like with all the options that are out there, and for people, especially in our community, most of the folks that we've surveyed here, you're in startups in the blockchain space or even AI, or you're founders yourselves, or you're budding builders coming into this space from whatever area. I think it's important to maybe elaborate a little bit more about what it was like to build a product like this during the bear market. It's not easy when everything is turning against you, it seems. What was that experience like for the both of you?
Yeah. Look, I think the short version of this answer is like, it's not easy, right? But one of the coolest things that we're seeing is the core of our ecosystem is as strong as ever. right? And the other businesses in the room will probably agree that, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of the hype is leaving. So as much as it sort of looks like the market's shrinking, there's the core opportunity is actually getting richer. And so we see that a lot of products that are being built to actually last are built now. And so it's really encouraging that we've been able to whip something out like this, as complex as this. It also like aligns your reasons why, right? Like, but when you release something at the height of the bull market, you might lose the reason why you're building it because you just make money hand over fist, and a lot of products just flash in the pan because they don't have that core value to sort of tie the product back to. For us, we've been able to spend a lot more time on things like the risks associated with taking out a loan, how to secure the product, and all those factors. Yeah.
And I guess the other part is on a bull market, speculative products are really popular. On a bear market, creating utility from cryptocurrency is really difficult, right? So this product definitely, as an audience, if I give you high-level information, Australians currently hold, excluding mortgage, $140 billion loans. And the average rate is 10.2% based on the RBA numbers. So in short, we have like an opportunity and a wedge here for us as a block owner to build this one passionately.
Amazing. You guys are going to hang around. You've got the QR code there. If you've missed that, tell us at the end and stuff. We'll get you those links. And please go to the App Store on iOS or Android and download Block Earner and come check it out. But for now, thanks very much. And also, thanks for being an amazing sponsor, a long-term sponsor of Oz DeFi. Guys. Alrighty, so when my mic comes back, Mr. O'Hagan, come on down.
This thing on? Cheers. I suppose I'll grab a seat with you.
I'm old and there we go. Test? No, it's turned.
Yeah, that's working for me anyway.
Test. La, 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 la. All right.
Well done to the guys, by the way. That was very interesting.
Absolutely. So first of all, because like I said, I haven't been good with intros. Tell us a bit more about yourself, Mark, and thanks for joining us. There's probably folks here. Before we begin, hands up here who's heard of FrankieOne. Okay, a little bit less than half the room, so great opportunity to teach more. Absolutely. But tell us about your journey. Like, who is Mark? Great name, by the way.
Thanks very much.
And how'd you get into this space?
Yeah, I actually only came over to Australia there in January. I was working in the reg tech at home, with another like company in like EMEA, and I came over to Frankie. I was actually sent over like a list of the top 50 companies, startups, by a former colleague of mine. Gave them a check out, and to say I hounded the recruiter at Frankie is an understatement with phone calls and emails. So that's kind of how I got in the door here. But
did it work though, right?
Yeah, well, it's worked here. So
hound your recruiters, folks.
Yeah,
that's a good lesson.
You're actually making their job easier, by the way, by doing that. They appreciate it. But I suppose just like Frankie as a place to work, it's just filled with like genuine people who are actually like really keen to be there. So it's the best place I've ever worked, without sounding cheesy.
Let's get into FrankieOne a little bit. People might know it from like the fraud prevention, the AML, the onboarding kind of platform that you guys have. But for the folks that might not be familiar, and the thing is, you need stuff like this. There's folks like Fireblocks and Blockdaemon and FrankieOne here in this room that you don't normally, like you see all the other apps that are out there, but they build on top of tech. They don't build from scratch. They build on top of the building blocks, and you guys are one of those. But for folks that are just a bit new, what is FrankieOne? How would you summarize that?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose how Frankie kind of can differentiate themselves from other players in the market is that we're not really like the old-fashioned like onboarding flow where you just sign up and that's it. There's very much like a custom risk-based approach to kind of how we engage with customers, listening to them from our, like if they're trying to achieve an onboarding from a regulatory standpoint, or they're being super proactive in terms of getting ahead of the curve and trying to be either GDPR compliant and or trying to like stay in advance of like blockchain, DeFi, and so on, and being like driven by market changes. So it's very much like kind of working with them and create like a custom onboarding flow that works for them.
And how do these, I mean, two of the features, you got onboarding, you got the fraud prevention, and you make those things kind of just very seamless in terms of the use of your product. And we know a lot of startups that are using what it is that you guys have. But how do you bring these together to minimize the risks for banks, for example, and fintech companies? Because minimizing risk is especially important in the crypto space, given all the stuff that's happening out there. But how do you guys do that?
I suppose what you don't want to do is have the same onboarding flow for all customers. You do want to have a risk-based approach. So if someone is less risky, you want to reduce the friction in terms of their onboarding flow. If someone is more risky, you want to kind of carry out more checks and more due diligence. So what we kind of do with that in terms of our fraud offering around KYC, KYB, AML, and fraud, and the benefit of Frankie is like being able to access that from a single API, a single contract as well, which I've kind of found is like a massive benefit to coming to us as opposed to other players in the game. So with that, we've two options. So if you're an API user, so if you have a kind of advanced development team, you can integrate with your API. We do have the option of like Smart UI, your own front end. So it's kind of a ready to go onboarding flow. What I have noticed is that a lot of people aren't as educated on the space, particularly like SMB customers. So a lot of the conversations you have, they're discovery questions where they're actually going away with work they need to carry out on their end to maybe upgrade their compliance point of view, how they've approached this, the timelines they've allocated to completing projects and so on. So what I found is not only are we kind of adding value from a point of view in terms of our product offering, but also like educating them on use cases from industry standards and things like that, you know.
One of the things that you guys have that I've seen on the website is something called a customizable decision engine. Now, imagine that you've got a room full of mostly builders and stuff here. What is that? Why is that important? Why do people that are considering creating some sort of, like me, for example, why is that important for me to consider as part of your features?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's take an example. So if you are in the gambling space, or you're in a space where you are trying to adhere to strict regulatory guidelines and so on, what you don't want to do, like I was saying in like for previous answers, you don't want to like throw a blanket over the onboarding process, how you review like AML hits in terms of like PEPs and sanctioned hits and so on. What you want to do is try and break that down into different particular onboarding flows. So different experiences are being provided to different individuals. As well as that, what you need to kind of take into consideration is how much support do you have right now? So how are you currently onboarding individuals? How manual is it? How time consuming is it? What's the cost as well to the business in terms of what could you be focusing on as opposed to if this was automated entirely for you? So I suppose that's two of the main things you'd kind of be hitting on. So what's the problem we're trying to solve? How much time is this going to reduce? And then cost of customer acquisition as well. These are all things like front of mind when like speaking to each customer, regardless of the industry, really.
I thought it was just about, just making money. There's no cost of acquisition. I'm joking. There obviously is. If anyone has started a business here, there are so many things that you discover along the way. Now, let's talk about we'll get to a question. Yeah, they're here soon. Let's talk about, hand up for... They were miles ahead. Fantastic. Well, there you go, folks. If that's ever an endorsement, and Hugh is not paid, although I'll talk to you after. We'll do the.
I'll get you that drink afterwards, Hugh. Thanks a million.
Now, speaking of, and thank you, because the segue to that is you guys are expanding your clientele. And you're doing more diverse kind of range of clients, from startups to big banks to fintechs to global firms. But can you tell us a bit more about some of the success stories? What's something interesting that you guys have done? Any big names that you can say publicly, because this is recorded and live.
Yeah, no, I was aware of that. No, there's no big names I can actually drop here today. Apologies. But in terms of like use cases and why people come to Frankie, I suppose that's a roundabout way I have of answering this question. So a lot of people come to Frankie to try and improve pass rates. That's like ultimately what they're trying to do, like better, cheaper, faster. And I suppose you could apply that to any business. But with Frankie, they're coming to us because they have custom onboarding flows, a risk-based approach that they can customize depending on the users they're trying to onboard. We've access to over 350 data sources globally. So if they're a growing customer and they're trying to enter new markets, like our partnerships team in terms of like integrating those data sources and like doing demos and so on to their devs, like prior to entering a new market, like that's major in terms of like eradicating errors, providing like first-in-class onboarding flow to customers, particularly like going live. The majority of the people that I speak to are product managers. So what they want to do is mitigate any errors, reduce cost, increase time efficiency, and so on. So when you're growing, be it like a bank, be it someone in like the gambling space, gaming, you're trying to stay on top of all the changes that are coming into effect, trying to get as much information off me and my colleagues as possible in terms of what's the best approach to this, and how they can kind of attack it in the best possible way. So I suppose working with them, listening to what they actually need, and then tying that into like industry feedback as a whole. So if it's banks or gaming, and kind of growing with the market.
Now, I think it's something to do with marks just being able to read each other's minds. Any other marks here? Anyone reading my mind? I was going to ask you about the 350 data sources. My background is as a data scientist, and for my sins, I'm in crypto. But what are some of those data sources there that you use to help with, understanding risk and profiling of customers? Because you guys, it's not just Web3. This is also, like you mentioned, gambling there. It's not just crypto-related businesses. It's any, really, isn't it? What are some of those like data sources that you can talk about? Or generically, what are the categories?
Generically, I suppose you can kind of like break down a lot of markets in terms of, do you need to verify if somebody's over the age of 18? Are you onboarding at a bank and you need to verify someone's age, address, PII information?
Like the 100 points of ID.
Exactly. So instead of like attaching like certain jargon to it and a point system, the people that are coming to us are either like led by regulatory standpoints where they're going to get in a heap of trouble, or they're going to get fined if they don't kind of comply with these. So I suppose like solving that problem for them, and going back to the risk-based approach with that and the data sources and so on, you can actually choose what data sources you're hitting at what point. So if you kind of view it as like a waterfall method, and if you want to verify your name and date of birth against one data source, you can do that. But if you need to verify or do like a biometrics check, which is a test of like a selfie or aliveness, you can do that first.
You say a test of aliveness.
Yeah, so like a liveness test in terms of like turning your camera on. I'm sure dating like websites and apps, that's another good example where you need to like verify the individual is who they say they are. So verifying like a government document, be it like driver license, Medicare, passport.
Do they look like their pictures on dating apps? No? Okay.
I mean, I can't speak from the brand point of view. I'm not reviewing the dodgy pictures myself. So
we'll talk about that later.
Again, look, that's what that's trying to mitigate. Coming back to kind of the answer there. You're trying to like verify individuals who they say they are. So having that option of an ad hoc basis of adding biometrics to your flow and coming back to kind of like being anti-fragile in a market where we have access to so many components and best-in-class services where you can switch on and switch off products and like as you please. I think that's a huge benefit to customers as opposed to kind of breaking that down and going to different companies for single contracts yourself, you know?
Hands up here who knows what anti-fragile is. A few of you? Okay. So anti-fragile, Nassim Taleb, I don't know if he's the originator of it. I'm sure it came out before him, but synonymous with using it. But it's something that gets stronger the more it gets hurt. Like imagine an egg that each time you dropped it and it cracked, it got stronger. because as it healed, it's like bones get harder supposedly. Don't go out and break your bones and stuff, but like, bones are supposed to get stronger over time. But yeah, anti-fragile is really interesting for businesses because a lot of here in Australia, we don't have that mentality of, hey, it's okay to fail, right? But with technologies like what you guys have, you make it easier, just like we had with the previous speakers, optionality. And providing not just optionality for retail and people that want to spend and do stuff with their ETH and BTC, but like how do you have that optionality with the businesses that you're building to be a bit more anti-fragile? And look, you're here as part of this amazing, and thank you for joining us, this Australian DeFi Association community. DeFi for folks that may not know, and that's okay. Decentralized finance, we're big believers that decentralized finance is more like decentralized commerce. So whilst yielding and staking and all that, we very much love that as part of our community. There's much more on the supply chain, the transfer of money, the how do we actually do commerce of the future? Because if there's anything that we can be certain of is that change is guaranteed, right? We are going to have improvements. Folks that thought, oh, the internet is fine. Like I'm just happy to download my Limp Bizkit song and it takes half a day to do it, right? It's not, I know many folks don't know Limp Bizkit, I'm old. But this is all about really, coming together as a community and hearing about these interesting things. You might not be needing to use FrankieOne now, but one day you start up your own business and you need tools like this because you need to onboard people. So can I just ask you as a roundup question, this is almost like what we do with our podcast. We always ask our guests what community means to them. So Mark, my namesake, what does community and things like this mean to you and I guess to FrankieOne?
Yeah, I suppose just being involved and listening to the problems you guys are trying to solve is kind of paramount, because although we're trying to like keep our customers like data and PII at forefront of mind in terms of protection and staying on top of security, like moving with the market, what I was saying is obviously something we're trying to be extremely proactive in. But I was at a pre-Intersect event last week and David Birch was talking. He'd just written a paper on how like identity will work in the metaverse going forward. And he said a few things. And one of the things that kind of stuck with me was how data storage is now going to be kind of eventually referred to as like toxic waste almost. Like it's not something you kind of want to hold on to in terms of being audited, having individuals like PII on record and so on. So one of the things I think I would attach to blockchain and DeFi going forward that I find like extremely interesting from a personal point of view is the whole process of like an online identity and where that's going. So like you can log in with Google or log in with Facebook now. Like what are you going to be able to do in the future in terms of like log in and scrape bank details for your name and so on and kind of giving specific access to granular information and not being able to kind of like share your entire identity in a throwaway sake. I think that's super interesting and how that's going forward, particularly from like our industry and DeFi space as well. So let's see what kind of happens there.
So folks, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and I don't know if we're at the age yet where we'll start getting chipped or brain implants, but you never know what the future holds. I'm joking. Okay, that didn't go down well. But if folks are interested in what's coming up in terms of what FrankieOne is doing, the innovations that are going on there, and I guess even if you guys like hiring and stuff, come talk to Mark and we'll get more folks from your community, from your business coming into this space. So right now, thank you, Mark O'Hagan from FrankieOne. Alrighty, we've got another guest and then we're going to get to some community updates. Let me just find my remote. If I could get Bernie up on stage. How realistic is this? Look at that. Pixel. Kind of. Yes? Good?
It's pretty realistic, yeah.
Love it. Okay. So let's do the intros before I forget. Bernie, now we've had you up on stage before, but so just in case folks missed that, who are you? Why do you have a pixel face there? And yeah, what do you do over at Stables?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Bernie. I am one of the founders of Stables. My background always been in building consumer finance products and in fintech. I was previously working for a company called Pocketbook, which was a small personal management finance app that allowed people to scrape all the bank accounts and then categorize all their expenses in one view. That was then acquired by another fintech company in the first fintech to fintech acquisition in the country called Zip. At Zip, I was adding the mobile team from like non-mobile app to mobile app with about 10 million customers and sorry, and 300,000 star reviews. And I left at the top. Speaking of tops, I think I left Zip when it was probably a behemoth of about $15 billion company to start stables. I think there the idea was, I mean, speaking of good exits, I got a good story there, but I don't know if you guys want to hear it. I sold all of my Zip shares at $3 to buy BTC, and then like Zip went to $15 and BTC was just like dipping. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. Anyway.
So you heard it here, folks. Bernie is the signal. When Bernie buys, you sell. No?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That's been proven
I thought
many
that was
times
me.
over. No. I think it's a thing.
You've got your banner to the side there. So there's a QR code on that. So obviously, get your phones out, QR code that. But let's talk about stables. And more, instead of just the generic, like what's it about and stuff, let's go back to the origins, because you're a builder. We've got a lot of builders in this space here. What led to stables? Like you've just given us a little bit about your background. You're a product guy. You must have seen some signs, or was it just like literally tea leaves that you saw, or was it, how did this idea come about? Because it didn't start from nowhere. It's, you know, there's something that you've experienced. What was that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, given my background at the time, it was like probably DeFi summer. I've been in crypto for a fair bit. And
What year was that?
2015, I think.
Wow. Okay.
I got smashed so many times. I got a couple of war stories, but yeah. So I think like it was probably 2019, 2020. You know, I've been at Zip for a while. I think I've done what I wanted to do, and I just like wanted to go and probably leave my own mark in the world. My passion always been in crypto, and at the time there was like a very flourishing, call it like DeFi industry. And I always thought that like one of the main hindrances to like, you know, adoption and how do we get crypto into everyday people hands is the user experience. I'm a product guy, as you said, and like user experience is like, it's my bread and butter. It's what I think about when I go to bed at night. And I was like, man, DeFi crypto user experience fucking sucks. If I'm gonna go and give my mom like something, she struggled with WhatsApp, so I mean that should tell you the character. But like, you know, if I go and tell her, oh, try and do something in DeFi today, she'd be like absolutely confused. So I was like, well, can we you know, put together, you know, something very complicated that is crypto with something that is like easily to understand, such as like, you know, everyday consumer finance apps. So you just put all the complexity in the back end and you just surface value. So that was, I think, like an hypothesis. At the time, we were called Tick. We were one of the probably early Terra projects coming out of Australia. Speaking of kicking the nuts, I got a couple. So I guess like early on, we just started to validate whether it was even possible. So I think like with my co-founder, we had this hypothesis and we wanted to go and see whether we could have done in a fully.
I think so. Hang on. Test. Oh.
No, all right. You had enough of me, sweet. All right, cool. Yeah, so, you know, like we went to some lawyer and we like basically did the structuring, and it was probably, we achieved what it was, I mean, I think at the time the first fully regulated institutional AUD to DeFi offering with a license. Yeah, and then I guess like things out of our control happened, so we kind of decided to really go and play by our strengths, which was payments. Yeah.
Payments is really important, and blockchain has really made it easy for people to pay. You talked about the UX experience. So hands up here who thinks that blockchain UX crypto, user experiences are great. Okay, hands up who thinks they're pretty average or completely shit. Yeah, there we go. It's true. Like, we need to make them better, and you guys are definitely doing that with what you've got there. You're addressing it, at least, because there's many that just like bottles that drop, they're not taking. No, I'm just joking. There's a massive need for better user experience kinds of things. So if folks are interested in talking about that UX side of things and learning from others that are in this space, definitely talk to Birdie and we'll share ideas. Might even do one of these sessions just completely on the UX experience, because that's really important. But let's talk about blockchain selection and the integration of the different options that you guys have on your app. Interoperability is really important out there. What's your rationale behind selecting the different chains that you use to support what Stables does?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like when we started, we were obviously on Terra with, a look of diversifying and eventually like supporting more chain and option for peoples. After what happened, we were like, well, let's start back from the base. We started from Ethereum. Well, why? The most developer, the most adoptions, and I guess the most stability. From Ethereum, we then started quickly, expanding into other EVM compatible chains. Again, like, because it's so easy to port over from EVM based chain, like from Ethereum to other EVM chains. So that was almost like a given. Actually, just as of today, we just enable Base. So we have like, you can go from AUD into USDC Base if you want to go and do your degenerate gambling on Frantech, for those that know.
Did that just launch today?
We just launched today, yeah.
Congratulations.
Like non-stop product announcement, wow. Yeah, so, I mean, in general, however, like, I guess like the guiding principle there is that, I mean, going back to what I was saying before, like the US sucks. Like, people do not care whether you have $1 on Solana, whether you have $1 on Ethereum, whether you have $1 on Avalanche. $1 for us should be treated as such, so as $1. So like, we ideally then we're gonna be in a place where, regardless of where you have your stable coins, we'll be taking them in for you, and we'll just make sure that you can derive utility from it. So probably next step is gonna be non-EVM chains, Solana, hopefully USDC Cosmos, so that we can go and do some good things for our friend over at Terra, and yeah.
It's interesting as well, like, given that you're a builder in this space, and space, not base. I know my words get mixed. But regulation is something that I'm sure if you weren't already in crypto, you've dealt with more lawyers now than you ever have in your entire life or will. Just given that there's so much uncertainty out there. And we know that there's technology that leads the way, and then you have regulations try to play catch up, and they're definitely doing that. Some countries better than others, etc. The interesting thing is, like, how do you navigate that kind of thing as a builder in this space, given that there is that regulatory kind of lag? How do you address that? How do you, take that into account as part of your service offering?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I'm a bit more, call it like the degen side of the business. I got great size that balances me. Like my co-founder Rez is a way more conservative and pragmatic guy, and also a bit more boring than me, but like that's what I say. But like, like because we have a Rez on board, we actually invested heavily into the side of the business, like regulatory and compliance. Our first hire was a chief risk officer. So it was a gentleman that previously got the first license, like banking license in the country for a startup. And like this guy saw what we were doing, what we were trying to build, and he got super excited about it. So, I mean, luckily we have Dave on board that, like shelter us and help us navigate, this, environment that is really not easy. I mean, especially in the past 18 months, as you said before, there's been like a lot of events that would have thrown off a lot of people.
You guys also regulation. That's a new word, folks. It is when you get confused when you're on the mic talking about regulation. But regulation is important on the one side, but security is also massively important, right? You want to protect consumer funds, and there's a lot of hacks. There's a lot of things that don't go well in this space because it's so new. The internet had all that same thing. Cars and any other innovation that's out there, robotics, driverless cars, they've all had these little hiccups along the way. There's security issues. But how do you guys address that? You guys talk on your website about MPC, institutionalized, institutional grade MPC technology. Like, what is that for the folks that don't know about that in the room?
Yeah, I mean, it's multi-party computational technology. That means that, I'm going to get very technical, maybe not too technical, but like, you know, when you're signing a transaction, you need basically a key to be able to let the funds move. You know, usually the problems that occurs with this type of X is that somebody get hold of your keys and is able to sign transaction on your behalf. With multi-party computational technology, what happens is this one key is split across different parties, and therefore you need to reach some sort of consensus before you're able to initiate and then, you know, effectively complete a transaction. So, I mean, for that, you know, we're using Fireblocks. So like, luckily, we have a very good relationship there with the folks at Fireblocks, and you know, like they have a great platform that allows people to basically build this type of you know, interaction, so that we can really focus more on building and less, you know, stressing about what happens if somebody gets hold of this case.
It's fantastic, and you know, given you're at a community event like this, we know that you guys and our other sponsors, Block Earner and the others, like Stone and Chalk is one of our sponsors, City of Sydney is another sponsor. We've had an amazing run of sponsors that have helped us be able to do things like this. So we definitely thank them. But community is really important to us. How do you guys use that as part of influencing your direction? You guys are starting to get involved a lot more in the community around Australia. We're seeing that, which is great. But just what's the importance of community to Stables?
Yeah, I mean, I guess us being a product-led company, I mean, community is everything. Feedback is the most important thing that we can get, and it doesn't matter how harsh it is, or, you know, like, you can keep on kicking me as many times you want, but like, if you're gonna give me good feedback and it's gonna make my product better, like, we love that type of stuff. So, I mean, I can give you like 1,000 examples where that happened, and then as a result, like, that actually end up being a better outcome for, you know, us as a business, but also for our users. Like, even just today, I was, you know, I'm doing a lot of like live chat support because I don't want somebody else is doing it, because I want to be in touch with our users. I want to know what they talking about, and I want to know how can we make the product better, especially at such early days. So, you know, I was talking to a folk today, I was like, this is great, this is what I want, but like, you could actually do things better in these points. And I'm like, yes, I agree. And then it turns out we kind of buddies and we're going to go out for dumplings at some point. But that being said, it's like, that is like crucial into everything we do, because without this type of feedback, we're almost going to be building in a silo, and then, you know, without getting the feedback loop that you actually need to go build product faster and give people what they want.
So you're saying if people want to kick you in the nuts, there's a chatbot for that? No.
Sort of.
Okay.
It's in my office.
So I heard this really cool story about someone that basically got a job at a firm. They came in as a developer. They fixed something, like they were a user of this product. They came in, they got a job, they fixed this problem that was bugging them, and then they quit. That's all they wanted to do. So you could do something like that. It's I think that's a true story. But look, Bernie, we thank you and Stables for your support, and we look forward to how you guys interact with not just our other sponsors, but also the other folks in this community. And yeah, you'll definitely be around to you know, be here for questions and stuff. So Bernie and the other folks here from Stables, thank you very much. And make sure, folks, that you scan that QR code
And
there.
can I say one more thing?
Please, yeah.
If you go like, I think 1 or 2 slides.
Oh,
God,
yes.
look at those pictures. If you
Beautiful.
go like
Let's
a
go.
couple of slides ahead, I think it's either 1 or, yeah. So
Oh,
like,
that one.
if you guys,
Yes.
before you, if you want to sign up, there's like $5 USDC on us. We recently just launched Apple Pay, so you can go and spend USDC wherever Mastercard is accepted. So if you want to give the app a try and, you know, get some funds for your daily coffee tomorrow, just like scan the QR code and use that code over there when he asks you for a referral code, and then we'll be sending you some cash.
When's Google?
Oh man,
Some.
how much time do you have?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
we'll
honestly don't know. Hopefully soon.
Okay.
Like it's out of our control. Let's say that.
I'm a Google phone
You're
user,
ready to
so
go.
yeah, I'm keen to use it. I've used it for other spending, but because I'm not tapping the card just yet, but I can't wait to do that. But luckily, you advanced iPhone users, you get this experience that I'll miss out on. So
Not for long.
not for long. But for now, folks, thank you, Birdie. Thank you, Stables. So we've got a few other little updates and stuff. So stick around. I'm going to bring someone else up on two other people up on stage. Let me just skip ahead. Yep, Juby update. But while we get them up on stage, Ash, is it just you or is Harry joining? Okay, just yourself. Use the microphone that works. But after this, folks, it's about networking. We'll have some time for questions as well for anyone that wants to ask questions, in particular for the folks that were here before. And then after networking, probably around 8:15, 8:30 or so, when I shovel everyone slowly outside, there is a pub down the road that we usually go to called Hotel CBD. It's literally 200 meters down the road where we continue the drinks, the conversations, and we'll talk a bit more about that. But let's get into the Stables update. Am I interviewing you or are you just giving an update?
I'm happy to go.
Okay,
So-
fantastic. I'm going to have a seat because my legs are tired.
I
Let
promise-
me know when to change screens. And Ash, please tell us about yourself first.
Sure. So I'm Ash, and along with Harrison Dell, the TikTok tax law, I've been building Juby for the last year. Our goal is to get all the companies out there using blockchain to manage their companies. So if you think equity shares, stock exchanges, bad, tokens, good. And we're focusing on helping companies manage fundraisers, so token vesting and on-chain signing, so think HelloSign or DocuSign. And the reason I'm up here, a year ago I was up here explaining that we're launching, and we launched some new features today or yesterday. So firstly, we're multi-chain, so we used to only be ETH, and today we're also supporting Polygon. If you're a builder out there, I highly recommend using Web3 on board. It basically means that we can now go multi-chain. Any EVM chain will take us a day or two just to deploy the contracts and to enable it on our dApp. So it's a really, really good library to use. In response to some customer feedback, we used to be focused on just managing the sales and pre-sales of tokens. But people also wanted to be able to mint a token. So we created a token wizard that you can now mint a token, and our token template is actually quite involved. It's got permit, so you can do gasless transactions with it. It's got snapshots for voting. It's got vote delegation, and permission minting and burning, so you can plug it into a DEX and whatever you will. And we've also got some documentation which people asked for. And then lastly, the other feature that we launched is Syndicopy. Now that's an interesting story. Syndicate used to be our biggest competitor. Gonna need the next slide there. Yep, that one. So they used to be our biggest competitor. They were focused on investment clubs, but basically people just used them, went to their site, minted a token, sold the token through their contract. Their idea was they'll help you register a company, and you can then use that funds raised to invest in other companies. And come end of July, their website where you were managing your token got replaced by this lovely message, which basically said, "Dear customers, your priority is now 0." So they shut down their dApp. They did tweet about it once and wrote a Mirror article, but essentially anybody who's got a token out there that they minted with Syndicate are now dead in the water. Their smart contracts aren't verified, so you've got no idea what you're interacting with. You can't use Etherscan or whatever to interact with it. But in their last Mirror post, they did give some instructions how you can mint and burn your token if you go and hard code stuff on your MetaMask. And so we went and we followed those instructions, and we built it into our dApp. So we present Syndicopy. So if you know anybody who's minted a token through Syndicate, they can literally go to our website, to our dApp, dap.jubi.io/syndicopy, and you can interact with your token using our DApp. We've got links to all the instructions. We're pretty transparent that you're interacting with the syndicate, smart contracts, etc. But we want to make sure that people who want to manage their company with tokens aren't left in the lurch. So we built that support. And of course, since we've now got a token, you can actually migrate to us. We've actually got a little guide that allows you to get a token holder list from Etherscan and mint a new token with the same token holding that you had with your syndicate token. So you can actually migrate. But if you don't want to, you can keep on using our Syndicopy to manage your token. And that's our update, I believe. I think that was the last slide. Thanks, Mark.
Fantastic. And that is such a great example of how something hasn't worked in the space. Someone stepped up to the plate to have a bat. Anyway, mixed metaphors are really my thing, but someone has stepped in to actually fix a problem that was out there. And this is what's great about this community being open source, that we can do this kind of stuff. I want to open up to audience question time. Do you guys have any questions? And we'll bring the speakers back up. Hands up if you've got anything that you want to ask in particular, right up the back there. And please state your name. I'll run down with the mic and who your question is for. And whoever the question is for, get ready to jump up on stage. Make sure this mic works. Hello, good sir. Your question.
My question's for Block Earner for their new products. So for the crypto loans, where will the crypto actually be secured, and what happens if there's security issues? Like, there have been a lot of hacks where Can you hear better? Okay. So for the crypto that goes in that we would give to you guys for the loan, what happens to that crypto? What happens if that crypto is hacked? Like, how does the security protocols work?
Hang on a second. We'll get you the mic. I think if you want to go to the lectern, actually, that one works. This one works? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks for the question. In the very beginning of our presentation, we mentioned about what we have learned in the market last 18 months. One of the learnings was third-party risks. So our product doesn't work with a third party. It's basically pure on the background, works with DeFi. So we basically hold the assets on behalf of the users on Fireblocks and integrated with DeFi smart contracts to basically get the liquidity from DeFi itself.
Is it then? So let's say the worst does happen. Is it then insured on your side?
The insurance, there is no insurance on the assets that we are holding, the collateral or the security. But the platforms that we use on the background has some insurance component itself. But there is a smart contract risk compared to third-party risk, which we believe last 18 months proven better to put your assets on a smart contract rather than a third party.
Sure. Okay, great. Thank you.
And to that point, folks, with regards to what Charlie's talking about there, so think about the collapses of FTX, Celsius, Terra, all of these, everyone thinks, people on the outside think that that's all crypto, but it's not. Those were centralized kind of versions of crypto. DeFi, people talk about it's regulated in the sense that if it's smart contract based and there's rules about how you get liquidated and you're supposed to do this if certain events trigger, there's no ifs or buts about it, it just happens. And so in a way, DeFi was more resilient. So things like Aave and Uniswap, when loans went bad during that period, money just went back to those people and stuff rather than someone like Sam Bankman-Fried not getting a haircut, whatever that was. Question?
Hey, how's it going? So my question is about the mechanism for liquidation. So when you get a loan, from what I understand, you've got to put up some collateral and then you get your loan. And then if the price drops down to a certain level, then your position will be liquidated. This is how it is on with most platforms. Is that how it is with your platform as well?
As you know, on the DeFi platforms, there is a liquidation event happens, and also there is a liquidation penalty. Most likely, some of the smart guys with bots liquidate your assets. So in our platform, it basically works like a little bit like a stop loss. So our loan LVR will be 33% max. We are a very conservative. We are taking a very conservative approach there. For example, if you have 100K worth of Bitcoin or Ethereum, the maximum loan amount you could get from Block Earner will be $33,000. And then our repayment threshold starts on 70%. But in between basically 33% to 70%, we will be notifying you with messages, emails, push notifications, etc. Once the repayment threshold, for example, you are off grid and not getting basically any information around about your loan status. Basically, what happens is when it reaches to 70%, we pay back some of your loan and bring you back to a safe level, which we bring you currently 55% loan to value.
Okay, thank you.
And there is no penalty. It basically sells your assets and pays back your loan.
Any questions for this beautiful man over here? Or it could be for Charlie again.
If I use the stable apps, can I do it in outside of Australia, or it should be within Australia? I said it's Australia, and can we register?
If you can spend
Yeah.
everywhere in the
Anywhere,
world.
yeah. If I
Yeah, you can. The only caveat is that you need to be an Australian resident or an Australian citizen for now to be able to get a card.
To register to be Australian and citizen. Otherwise, to spend, I can go anywhere to Thai or UK, wherever. you
Yeah,
go.
so it's actually the opposite. So almost like 135 people, 135 countries in the world can sign up for an account. Only Australians, citizen or resident can get a MasterCard today. But once you have that, you can use it wherever MasterCard is accepted. So it might be in Australia, it might be in, I don't know, Thailand, whatever you want. Yeah.
Hey guys, question for both Block Owner and Stables as well. Let's say you were a legacy financial institute looking to implement some of these products. Would you be open to white label what you've built into a legacy financial institution?
Yes, we definitely we have some actually conversations at the moment with some TradFi platforms on the background to offer our solution on their platform. So Block Earner is just not only like a loan business. We have spot trading functionality, DeFi access, and we also offer a transaction account with bill payment and third-party functionality. So this makes it very interesting for some players, some fintech players on the background.
I mean, I suppose similar to Charlie, short answer is yes. Long answer is not now. I guess for us, at least right now, we're like super laser focused on building up our product. But like once that's, in a state where we're happy, feature wise, then it's definitely something that, I've done it before in the past. But like, you basically start building SDKs and APIs for your product for whoever else wants to use it. That being said, I think there's also like a lot of these people already doing it today. I think there's very few. And that's also very much also true for like, I guess, TradFi and whatever. At the end of the day, you always end up going to the same well. So, I mean, maybe one day, but I think today, at least speaking for myself, we're more excited about the consumer proposition.
Other questions? Yep, right here. Fantastic. One of our first timers as well.
So I have a question for Block Owner. Obviously, with popular lending platforms, DeFi lending platforms like Aave and Compound, the crypto that you're borrowing, for example, USDC, is coming from what other people are lending into the protocol. But then with Block Earner, obviously people are taking out loans of Australian dollars. So, how would you facilitate, giving people loans in Australian dollars? You already have that money, reserved or where would it primarily come from?
That was the hardest part of the product, to be honest, compared to US players or other players around the world. You are right, in DeFi, basically the borrowing happens with stable coins. We use a hedging mechanism on the background with some of our partners. When you borrow, for example, a Bitcoin-based loan or Ethereum-based loan, we basically hedge that AUD USD rate so that we basically eliminate all the exposure for ourselves. But for customers, there is no DeFi on the background. It's just us. So they are dealing with us. We just basically, since this is a DeFi community, we also disclose what we are doing on the background. It's on the DeFi. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great question. So no, thank you very much for that. Now, let's go to a few more questions if there are any. But after this, we do a bit more networking whilst Chris and I pack up. You don't have to put the chairs away, folks, so don't worry about that. We'll take care of all of that, but just bring your drinks with you outside. But are there any other questions whilst we've got these amazing crew up here? Two more here. Let's go to the one at the end because we've had you, so we'll come back. Yep. Question?
So part of the issue, this is a block owner. I guess part of the issue in off-ramping Australian dollars is it's sort of dependent on your relationship with the bank and I guess the bank's view on crypto itself. Well, what are your thoughts on that and block owners' relationship with the banks and at what size as well?
I think the hard one currently, I'm in this space since 2017 and knowing what banks like, what banks don't like. I think the on-ramp is the biggest problem right now because of mainly investment scams. So there are social hacks. Basically, they convince some people to buy Bitcoin and send elsewhere. And then they realize after a while there is a problem with that payment or transfer. Majority of the issue currently is around on-ramp to crypto, not off-ramp. Our product is a loan product. So customers bring crypto assets to us and then borrow against their crypto assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and we basically directly send it to their bank account. So that's actually a easier way for us because when you receive the funds, bank according to basically the transactions rules in Australia can't say no, I don't accept that transaction, but they might ask you where it came from, what was the source of the funds, but these are classic AMS CTF questions. But we don't have any problem with that, and we have some partners on the background.
Yeah, I just wanted to riff on this gentleman's question here about the source of the funds. So are you relying like on your own war chest, or do you rely on, say, like an army of yield farmers like staking and doing like liquidity farming and stuff like that to
this is the beauty of DeFi, right? So currently in top two platforms, Aave and Compound, there is, as far as I know, last time I looked at $8 billion loan book. So we are feeling very, very comfortable to write, for example, $500 million in total check in Australian dollars. So it's purely coming from DeFi. So we don't have any separate pool of funds or separate engagement with DeFi, orgies, etc. It's purely DeFi.
Yeah, this question is actually for Stables. So with the whole Luna implosion as well as Jump Capital, I was just wondering, how do you guys manage to get back on board and continue building? Yeah. With the whole Luna implosion as well as Jump Capital, they lost a lot of money during like 2022 and especially it led to the bear market. I was just wondering, how do you guys get back on board? Like get back to building? How do you manage to choose the chains that you were building on and all?
I mean, number one, as I said, like the life of a founder, and like for lack of a better words, it's like you wake out of bed and somebody, at least for me, kicks me in the nuts every day. So, I mean, that was a really hard moment for us. Like personally, and, I lost a bunch of money. Everybody in my company lost a bunch of money. However, like how you keep building is like we had a vision that was bigger than just, like solely be relied to one ecosystem. Like our thesis was around stable coins. It wasn't necessarily around just Terra per se. We really like Terra because the ethos and the idea of, decentralized stable coins, it's probably what we need for this space. If you want to have decentralization, you probably want to have decentralized money. Maybe it wasn't the right way to solve the problem, but like I hope that like there'll be other people that are gonna come around and trying to solve the same problem. But yeah, I mean, we just soldier on and bunker down, and we just decided to keep on pushing forward. Like luckily, we haven't lost any of our customer funds. We've been like very proactive in managing that type of exposure. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you probably know a thing or two about that. So yeah.
So get used to getting kicked in the nuts is part of it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, now I got like steel nuts. I don't know, nuts of steel. So
Yeah.
Terrible analogy. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not sure if that was picked up on the mic, so YouTube won't ban us yet. We've got a question here from Ash. Does anyone else have a question? That will be the final one. So 2 here. Go ahead.
So in terms of stables, for the card, you support USDT and USDC, and you seem to be branching out to other chains. Is there a roadmap to also include other stable coins like DAI?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's like a pretty easy, like call it like step up for us to do. It's just more so, like the way that we do things in the back end, it's actually a bit, I mean, I can go into details, but like basically you can deposit USDT on USDC on like call it 6 chains. Regardless of the chain, whatever you put in, we just like swap it at no cost to the user into Polygon USDC. And then, like we basically take those USDC and rebalance it back into Polygon USDC, into our own float account. DAI at the moment predominantly on Ethereum. So like if we were to open the floodgates, we'd be probably likely to be paying a bunch of Ethereum gas fees, which is all right, I guess. But it's also like probably something that we want to be a bit more conscious about, but eventually will come. And hopefully many more stable coins. Like there's a project that I really like called Glow Dollar, which is like basically same model USDC or USDT, but the treasury instead goes towards try to end, call it like poverty. So I think like if you put 20 Gs, the yield out of those treasury bills should be able to leave people at 1% out of poverty. So there's a bunch of interesting stablecoin projects out there. I think for us is the matter of how do we want to support those ecosystems and like what type of risk exposure do we want to take as a company?
Time for me. Thank you, gents. My question is maybe a difficult one. So in the wake of FTX and other exchanges going insolvent in the last 12 months, what is the consumer's risk to an insolvency event of your companies? Is it held for them beneficially? Will it be an unsecured debt if it, the worst happens?
I can answer this question. I guess the last 18 months events more around the people like Mark mentioned, not necessarily the industry or crypto. So I guess the key part is basically separating the customer's assets from the company's assets. So this is a policy that everyone should have, I guess, in fintech ecosystem. So I guess if you just do it simply, there is no risk for customers' funds. And we are working with some providers on the background. You will see, for example, in 2024, we will be disclosing some audit reports and all other stuff. So we can basically provide trust this way and also sharing on-chain data about our company's funds. That's all we can do right now.
Fantastic. Guys, there's definitely going to be more questions, so mingle in the networking session. But for now, Bernie, Charlie, thank you very much. some final announcements. I was speaking into my phone. I forgot which one was the microphone, whatever. Anyway, so this is a QR code. We've got an NFT. Oh, sorry. Actually, first of all, this is Crypto Lulu. Hands up here who's heard of Crypto Lulu, the restaurant. Great. Hands up here who hasn't been yet to Crypto Lulu. It's a pretty amazing place. We're using it for our podcast. First of all, there's going to be a number of events going on there, not just blockchain. There's groups like the Export Council of Australia is using it tomorrow for their gala. There's a lot of other events that'll happen there. If you're in a business and you want to run a really cool event and Squire's Landing is booked out because Stables or Block Earner have got it, there's another venue right across the road. So it's really great to see that restaurants are embracing NFTs as these digital tickets which give you perks, and that's going to be expanded. So more news on Crypto Lulu coming soon in September because we're behind the project. So that's kind of fun. So that's Crypto Lulu. We've also got our own NFT here. Where's Simo? I saw him before. He maybe came in and out. Anyway, Simo is one of the community members. He's an artist, does a lot of stuff with NFTs. He runs a group called NFT Sid. They put on an event in early 2022, which is one of my first events, blending artwork and digital into the same kind of space. He designed these 4 NFTs, which are representative of different folks in the community: the creator, the builder, the shit stirrer. Oh, no, I'm just joking. There's none of those, but there's different awesome kinds of personas in the community. And if you buy one of those, I think they're currently, because of the price of ETH, they're only about $250 or so. But you get a hoodie, you get, and Chris, if you can hold up one of the hoodies up the back, can you see the pink one? Or did Nick leave already? And, just break stuff, that's okay. This is one of the hoodies. It doesn't have to be pink, but, Barbenheimer, that's a really cool thing. So, blue, navy blue, gray. Chris wears the pink really well, and I've got to get his hoodie out soon. But quite a few, I think like 20 or 30 people have bought these, and they get, as part of that NFT, other perks such as early access to notifications about these events so you don't miss them. There's even consultation, like a free half-hour session with someone that is in this space if you're just getting started, etc. So, there's some really cool people that have volunteered their time to be part of this. So that's another one. The Web3 Innovation Center, this is all part of Stone and Chalk. It's here in Sydney. It's grouping different Web3 founders together. So instead of going off and working on your own, you get to work together with others, and you get to talk to myself and others in this community here in Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide. So that's really great to see. So if you're interested in co-working space, definitely come chat with us. And my phone just, hang on a second. There we go. QR code there again. One of the things that is key to that QR code is Discord. The reason why we have Discord, we were going to other meetups before this, and those other meetups are great, but you wait another 30 days or 60 days or whenever the next meetup is, and you don't have these discussions. And crypto Twitter is great, but you don't often learn things there. There's a lot of great discussion that's going on in the Discord. It's gone through a bit of a roller coaster where there's been some quiet times sometimes. But if you're interested in this space, if you want to continue on with the questions, we'll get our sponsors, these folks here that you've been talking to, we'll get them answering those questions in the Discord if some come through. So feel free. I know that sometimes it's not easy to ask questions out in public. That's fine. Okay, so definitely join that. You also get highlights of where we have our socials, our news events, the videos and stuff that we've got. We haven't built, even though we've got a lot of knowledge in our space, like an Oz DeFi GPT model where you can just ask it all about the previous meetups and all that, but I am working on something, okay? So watch this space. But in any case, that is the QR code. So as I said, the next steps are you go out, you drink, you eat whatever leftover pizza there is. I hear that cold pizza is really good for you, and garlic bread too. Feel free to take some of the garlic bread home as well. Leave no garlic bread behind. But if you are taking anything out there, we can't be responsible for any kind of food issues or whatever. So, be your own person. We'll network until about 8:15, 8:20. And then before 8:30 or so, whoever's left over will go down to Hotel CBD for a few more drinks and conclusion. But look, I want to thank you all for coming here and staying on. We've gone on a little bit longer than I normally thought. I thought we were going to go on my time, but, Arturo has been here in spirit. But I do want to thank you all for braving this cold, wet Sydney-ish day. And please do leave here with something, okay? And that something is leave here with the contact and or connection or details of someone that you haven't met. The only way this place grows is by getting something out of going to these events, right? I want this to be a net positive. One of the things that we say, and we'll say time and time again, is that your brain might hurt from all the knowledge that's here, but we've got alcohol and food to soothe that. So with that note, thank you for coming to this meetup, and we'll see you at the next one. Go forth and be merry, folks. Thank you. And take your bottles with you if you can, please. Thanks very much.